Nice, Brandon. We'll call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. We'll go ahead and do introductions. There's quite a few people in the room this evening. I'm Tina Ray Scott, Mary Myers, Kelsey Hartman, Jamie Johnson, Marie Blythe,
Billy Glinski.
Heidi Grant,
Chris Grant.
Kathy Dolphus, Nola Miller,
Sherry Terrell,
Kelsey Brimmer,
Heather Hannes,
Kelly Gentry,
Jade Warboss. Matt Fox.
Brianna Allen,
Landon Ewing. Jeff Murphy.
Jordan Picolette,
Everybody. Bryce Johnson.
and online.
Valerie Gear.
Jan Siaka.
Thank you. We'll move into our consent agenda. The first thing we have is approval of the agenda. Point of order for board members. We will have our executive session on personnel prior to action item G this evening. The next item is approved minutes of the previous meetings. Financial reports. Bills presented for payment in the amount of $301,363.86. Donations and gifts. Personnel. Under employment, Brock Finch, Council Grove Elementary School physical education teacher. Brianna Allen, Council Grove Elementary School first grade teacher. Tina Wheeler, Council Grove Elementary School school counselor. Emma Melton, Council Grove Junior Senior High School support specialist. Santana Stewart, Council Grove Elementary School third grade teacher. And Tanner Schneider, Prairie Heights Elementary School physical education teacher. Under resignations, Catherine Hurdy, Council Grove Elementary School third grade teacher. Emily Ehrlich, Council Grove Elementary School fourth grade teacher. Sarah Hanks, Council Grove Elementary School third grade teacher. Zachary Nessen, Prairie Heights Elementary School physical education teacher. Council Grove High School assistant basketball coach. Council Grove High School assistant track coach. Laurel Marshall, Prairie Heights Elementary School fourth grade combo grade teacher. Don Lucas, after school program aide. Bryce Johnson, board clerk and transportation director. And retirement of Don Platts as the Council Grove Elementary School custodian and bus driver. And John Keating, the Council Grove Junior High social studies and Council Grove Junior High head track coach. Is there anything that anyone would like to see removed from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Madam President, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded by Kelsey. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Patron forum. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to address the board? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to the spotlight on education. Mrs. Brimmer, Council Grove Elementary School Student Support Room.
I'd like to thank Mrs. Hannes for volunteering me. You know how I feel about public speaking, then you understand. I did print out some data for you guys for you guys to look through. And I'm just going to talk to you about the student support room that we have in our building. It's something that I feel makes us special in our building. It's something I'm very proud of. 4 years ago, Heather gave me the freedom and the trust and the space to build something different here than what we've done before to help with behavior needs in our building and just meet student needs. Prior to our student support room, I was still in the classroom and we were struggling to get to all the kids who needed us at that time. We had a behavior intervention specialist in a very small room. And sometimes when you called for help, the response was, I already have a kid right now. And so it left you feeling like, I need help, you know, as a classroom teacher, or there's a kid that needs to talk to somebody and I'm trying to get through this lesson. And so when I moved into my position as assistant principal / instructional coach, I asked Heather for permission to have a classroom space that we could help as many kids as we needed to help at a given time. And she let me create the student support room. We hired a full-time aide to help man that space, with me. And it started out as a sensory room. So if a student needed a sensory break, the teacher would call us and say, can so-and-so come down for a sensory break? And we had, just different sensory tools. We had a crash pad for resting. We would read books. We would color and talk, almost like a play therapy without the mental health expertise on my end. And from that first year, 4 years ago, it's just continued to evolve each year. I've tracked data the whole time on the kids who walk through that door every day, how many kids, the reason why they come through the door, how long they're in there, how many times a day they visit, and their grade, all of that gets tracked, and it has from the first day. And so we've been able to adjust how we're responding to kids by watching this data. And we're now in our 4th year. We've moved to a few different locations in the building each year. Hopefully we're in the same space for next year. It's a great space. I'm excited to show you guys here in a little bit. But it's evolved into more than just a sensory room. We do use it for things like ISS if we need to. We used to have what we would call a refocus, which is just when a student needed to leave the classroom because of a consequence. They needed some time away from the room. They needed to get regulated, right? They probably needed to have a conversation with somebody about their behavior and how it was impacting learning. We now have a calm corner where we do have those same conversations and help kids get regulated, but we have put the trauma-informed spin on our language. And then we also have started recognizing kids for just doing the right thing, for being hard workers, for being good kids, for following directions, for trying their best. And so our teachers actually have come up with a student recognition system for the whole building that gives kids like just a thank you, I see you, go have fun for 5 minutes and come back to class. So that has been super positive in our building and really motivating. So your packet that you have, the first page, is just what our building-wide data looks like for the whole year. And so you can see, I just graphed it by quarters. The first column, and this is how my brain sees things for behavior, like I just had created this system kind of, so yeah, this page that Jordan has. So for each quarter, you'll see the date, and that's the week of, so the numbers for that week. So like our first week of school this year, we had 37 positive visits that week to the student support room. 6 visits were for a consequence, and 21 kids came through our student support room doors that first week of school, which would have been about 2 days. And then you can see each week for the first quarter what those numbers look like. And each quarter I highlight our highs for each category. So the week of September 19th, we had 332 positive visits through the student support room that week. The week of August 29th was our roughest week of the first quarter. We had 65 consequence visits that week. And then also the week of September 19th, we had the most students, 140 different students walked through the student support room doors that week. And so you can kind of see what that data looks like. The graph just shows how those positives and consequences, the number of students move throughout the year. And you can kind of see like when we spike one way or we drop another way, we know that we need to respond to kids. And so just this past, not last week, but the week before, we had our all-time high in 2 categories. The week of March 27th, we had 412 positive visits in the student support room and 169 different students through our student support room doors that week. So we feel like we're really supporting kids. On the bottom of that page, it shows you the different reasons that kids can come to the student support room. For our 5-minute rewards, we have some kids who are on like a behavior chart, and they can earn like trips to the student support room to just go play if they earn so many happy faces or complete so many tasks or get their work done. So that's something that's set up ahead of time with them. Our teachers came up with a ticket system, and it's just a 5-minute SSR ticket. And this is that, thank you, I see you, go take a break, play, come back to class. So it's a way to notice our kids who are doing great things. We do make sure that we're meeting basic needs, so we have 3 different places for kids to rest. We get quite a few sleepers throughout the week. We keep fresh blankets for them, dim the lights. We have a little sign that we put out that says we have a student sleeping, because we know that they can't be successful in the classroom if their brains are too tired to let them learn. We provide a lot of snacks. The free breakfast the last 2 years has really helped cushion our snack supply. So that has been great. The district has also been supportive of making sure that we always have snack if students are hungry. Sometimes kids will have an alternate location for lunch. Sometimes the classroom is just too distracting and they need a quiet place to work, and that's a positive support that we can offer. They can earn rewards for the end of the day, and then through our Brave Superstore, they can also purchase a coupon that allows them to go have a 10-minute break in the student support room and study. And then there's consequences, like I said, the refocus. And if they aren't being successful in the classroom, sometimes they will have to take their work into the student support room. And then we do things like lunch detention in there for kiddos that can't stay after school, or if they're having a really hard time with the structure of the lunchroom. And then of course ISS. So the next stage, on the back side, it's just a running log. I've blacked out the student names, but our student support room aide that's in there all day is Miss Pawnee, and she keeps a running log of every kid that walks through the doors and enters it into a Google Doc for me. And so then that's how I sort all of our positive and consequences. And so I sort by student and then total up their positive to negative ratio. And then I add that to our building-wide page that you saw on the first page, but then some of our students that we're really keeping a close eye on and we're making decisions based on their behavior data, that third page that you have is an example of an individual student data page. And so much like that first page, each quarter I track what their week looked like. And we can have conversations with teachers, like if we see somebody that's coming in for a lot of refocuses, we know we need to flip it the other way and get some positive momentum going with that kiddo. And so we'll put some extra supports in place for them. We'll embed some sensory breaks in their day, and make sure that we're meeting all of their needs. And you can see those graphs start to flip the other way, and they have more positives than negatives. So that's our goal. This was a kiddo that kind of had a rough start to the year. And she has had, looks like 8 weeks in a row with no consequence visits, which we haven't seen yet this year. So she's one of our success stories for the year. Anything? Am I missing anything here? Sleep, yeah. We also, we use this data, especially our weekly log, and our individual student data. We use that also to communicate with Crosswinds. We meet with them every other week, and we can, with the kids that we have a release of information for, we can communicate with Crosswinds about what we're seeing with their behavior data, and they can help us also embed some supports. So that's, Dustin has been a huge resource with being part of that, and helping us make connections. And a lot of times we'll have some of our Crosswinds people come into the student support room to help support kiddos. I think maybe that's it. You guys have any questions?
You know, I'm gonna have one.
I know.
Yeah. Actually, it's great. This is fantastic because without the data, it's just a story. But you said if there's something, kind of tipping the other way, we need to respond to kids. Who's the we?
So we have, last year we established a response team. So every staff member in our building has a list of phone numbers. And there are anywhere from 7 to 10 of us. So we've asked every staff member to create a text thread, and they just send it out if they're needing help with a student. But at PLCs, we talk about behavior data, and then also I'm the one that logs it all, so I get the big picture. And so there have been multiple times that I'll approach the teacher and say, I feel like we need to call a team meeting. And sometimes it'll be the classroom teacher and our counselors, and we'll pull in Dustin and Crosswinds if we can, and obviously Heather. And then we get to the point where our team meetings are also pulling in parents, and we're trying to come up with strategies that cross over from home to school. So that's,
Thank you.
it's a lot of these.
Yeah, well, that was my assumption. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anything else?
I would like to piggyback on something for just a minute, because there are times when we hear, that the community has a hard time understanding what we're doing. And, one of the biggest reasons is because we cannot share the information about what's really happening. And what I really appreciate what they've both done is to be able to show you the data, that we're not talking about 2 or 3 problem children here. That the population of our kids right now are under a great deal of stress, and they have a lot of needs. And to see those kind of numbers, to start to give you especially, but the public, an idea of, this isn't a little thing that we're trying to deal with here, to try to educate kids who have a lot of needs. And they can be very, very little children and have huge disruptive behavior. So just the sheer numbers of it, the fact that they put something in place to try to both give kids positively what they need, but to deal with the consequences, it's not been a small undertaking. And Kelsey has been asked to speak at the MTSS symposium in September, a lot because of this data collection, that this isn't like just a story, this is data that we track and watch, and these are real things, and you don't hear about them because we can't talk about them. And so, but to see those numbers and to know that we've got some pretty severe things that are happening, I just want to commend them on what they've done.
And I will say our staff,
Yes.
you can try and build something, but without the staff buy-in, it's probably not gonna go anywhere. And, this is just this year's data, but I've tracked it for 4 years, and I've compared year 1 to where we are now, and it's unreal. And it's come with some very real conversation with staff about what we want it to look like, and if it were to go away because we're not using it. And we've turned things around a few times now, and just continue to evolve that space. But the staff, the way they respond to students here, the way they know how to ask what their basic needs are, the number of messages we get that come through our text threads that say, I have a kiddo that needs a snack, or I have a kiddo that needs to sleep for a little bit. They're not things that you would typically think about, but that's how our staff is responding to our students to help them feel loved and supported and be successful when other things are getting in the way. So it's really a kudos to the staff, not just any one person.
Mr. Turner, is this available pre-K through 6?
Yes, pre-K has a sensory room out in the building where they're located right now, that's just across the hall from them. So a lot of times we'll take students into that room to help them get regulated or give them a break from the classroom. But they do have access to this one as well. And we have a couple pre-K students who that's in their behavior plan is to come over to the student support room as well. But yep, all students, that's the goal.
Any other questions? Moving on, we'll jump right into our reports. I'm actually gonna start with Val. We'll start online with Val first, if she has anything that she wants to add to the data report. Yeah, you gotta know.
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you, though.
This is Ginger.
No, other than thank you to those of you who reached out and asked for the root cause statements. I really appreciate it. Asked to see those.
Sure.
Nothing unless anybody has any more feedback on a few questions I emailed you about. We've got our meeting this Thursday. Got a lot of feedback already.
Mr. Fox?
Track team, competed down at, Wichita State, Shocker, pre-state event. Performed very well for me.
Congratulations. She did really well.
And, I guess we've been to a couple meets that we haven't been to in the past few years, and I know it's been like quite a bit of money for the district, so thank you from the track team for letting us go to those.
Sure. Yeah. Dr. Doty?
Just wanted to follow up one thing real quick. I know I've been to my folks last week about trying to create some parking over here. Got the first quote back from engineering for the farm, 15,000 just for a drawing to submit the state to see if it could or couldn't. So gonna keep working and trying to find someone else that another firm that might be a little cheaper. For 12 spaces, I can't imagine we can't find something more reasonable to come up with a drawing to submit to the state. Other than that, that's it.
Does it have to be a certain, since it's involving the state, does it have to be a certain person you go through? Are there only certain people that do it since it has to go through the state, or can it be?
It's just gotta be standard engineer drawing, so it's just a licensure that the engineer has to hold at the state accept. So
Okay.
there's multiple firms that do that.
Okay.
Right. Anything from the board?
You say, is this my chance?
So last. It's almost close to 2 weeks now, but Tina Ray and I were fortunate enough to go to the National School Board Conference in Orlando, which was awesome, not just because Florida was amazing. It was 40 degrees when we left Kansas and it was beautiful weather. 93 when we landed. We tried to bring it back. I'm sorry, we failed. But, it was a really good conference. I was able to attend last year's to this year, and they really stepped up the game. The sessions were a lot better and more diverse, and luckily they recorded some because I found that several of the sessions I wanted to attend were all at the same time, which is irritating, but nonetheless, I can go back and watch them. But, they had a couple of different speakers. Each day there was a general session. The first day wasn't as good. The second day was phenomenal. And the last day was the guy who founded Siri. And he talked about education and embracing tech and AI and not being afraid of it. And it was for somebody who isn't super techy, but sort of understands a little bit of tech, it was really good. Because his general message was to figure out how to harness the power of AI and not be afraid of it, because we're going to see more and more of it. And if you have heard about ChatGPT and all the functions, it's a little scary because it can pretty much do anything you want it to. And so it's gonna come down to educators really learning how to use it and work with it instead of trying to avoid it. It was really interesting. He also, the one thing that really stuck out in that session for me was, it's not always right. It's gonna be confident in its answer, but one of the examples he used was he asked it how many words were in the sentence, and it got it wrong. I mean, it's as simple as just counting the words, and it got it wrong, but it was confident that there were 17 words in that sentence. And so, it's really, really interesting. I won't go into details, but the networking piece is amazing. Getting to visit with people from all over the nation who by and large have the same problems we have that you can talk to. Sometimes they have advice, sometimes they just shrug their shoulders and say, yeah, I hear you. I don't know what to do about it either. But it's really cool. And I had a really weird encounter in a bathroom with somebody from out of state who was very distraught. She was African American and she was sobbing in the bathroom. And I finally just asked her if everything was okay. And we ended up having a 15-minute conversation, luckily out of the bathroom. And I have her business card, and so I'm gonna reach out to her, but she, her son had called her and he'd chosen, he was not going to college. And all she could talk about was her beautiful black boy. And she kept saying those 3 words over and over and over, and how he had no future if he wasn't gonna go to college. And she was just devastated, and that's not something I have to deal with. Like, I get that, I see that, I can understand inherent privileges that I have. But for her to be sobbing hysterically because she really felt he had no future if he wouldn't go to college. And so anyways, the networking is incredible, and you just don't get that other places, so.
The keynote speaker on our second day there was Jenna Bush Hager. And she actually talked about the role of librarians and how the job of a librarian within a school has shifted and changed. And of course, she was referencing her mother, but then a lot of people in the room didn't understand that she had also gone on to become an educator, and her number one focus is trying to still continue to work to encourage kids to read. So it was really fantastic listening to her. It's pretty great. She came out and she identified herself as the Bad Bush twin. And also a lot of chuckling there because a lot of people then remembered her story and who she was, and then to hear her say the same thing that we've heard over and over and over again. And when we're talking about kids, how sometimes really good kids make bad choices, but they can still go on to do really great things with their lives. And that was essentially what her focus and her point was. One of the things that was really great this year that NSBA hasn't done in a very long time is they broke the sessions down by essentially job alikes. So it was a lot easier to find sessions that were keyed into really what your role was and what your position was, and really great things. They started clear down with Board 101 this year, actually for board members and parliamentary procedure, and went all the way through leadership and what that looks like on a national level and those sort of things. And then it was everything in between for everybody that was there. So really great opportunity to be able to be there and be there with our state representative as Frank Henderson as the outgoing president. And then just the other key kind of takeaway that we had while we were there is that Dr. John Heim, who most people know from his time at Emporia, is resigning his position as the chair of NSBA and will sit in a role as a consultant for them until the end of the year. And then he will be retired, now has a Wyoming driver's license. So really great opportunity just to connect, as Jamie said, with people all the way from Alaska to the Virgin Islands and everyone in between. And this year we actually had Canadian folk that were there as well. So
The guy from Alaska, they have to put their kids on a plane every day to go to school. When I think of rural challenges, I never considered that as a, like, literally putting them on an airplane to get them to school.
They fly to most of their activities too. Because
Yes.
You can't drive to our business.
yes,
Transportation budget's a little higher.
yes.
And
And then
crazy to listen to them talk about
Yeah.
things.
there's also a lady that was there from one of the islands between New Jersey and New York, and they have to ferry all their kids to school every day. And it's a really unique situation because if you miss the last ferry, what does that look like for your kids? And how the ferries then have to have a different schedule based on if you have extracurricular activities and those kinds of things going on. So when we talk about transportation issues in our district, it really gave us an opportunity. We sat through some really interesting stuff. We learned about electric buses and what that looks like for the Midwest, and some things like that. So Jamie and I really kind of diversified where we went this time, participated in some live sessions, started most mornings at 7:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, with sessions before the general session, and went all day. So it was a great opportunity.
Thanks for going to represent our day.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Just,
No, you're good.
first of all, sounds eye-opening and beneficial, so that's awesome. A few things, but before, Bree, this is probably gonna be the first time and the last time I ever get to hire a student, so congratulations, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Last time I had Bryce send out some information around executive session and board leadership. And several of you wrote back saying that you had read that and found that beneficial. And so I thought this month I could do it again, and I don't particularly enjoy sending this one or having Bryce send this one. But there is a lot about Bryce's role as the board clerk on the KASB website. And the duty list is unbelievable. And so I think it would be worth our time in knowing that we're gonna hire someone. And Bryce, if there's something that you wish for the board to know, I would hope that you tell Mr. Doty so that you can give us that feedback in order to make that role better moving forward. But I'm going to be asking you to send that out to the board if you don't mind. And then, Mr. Doty, if you wouldn't mind, the strategic planning that happened last week, I was just hoping that you would talk a little bit about that for the community. Oh, that's on there. Okay, then, hold on. One more thing. I know that the leadership team, including Mr. Doty and all the leaders, have went through the adaptive schools work. And so I know that the board wishes to be supportive of that. If there's something you need from us in order to continue supporting that work, there is a next level adaptive schools training as well. So just keep that here if there's something the board can be doing to support all of you as you work through that work.
Any other board members? Okay. We'll jump right into our first discussion item. Great segue.
Yeah.
The strategic
Sorry about
planning
that.
dialogue.
Yeah, so first, just a huge thank you to all the community members and the staff, the admin team and the board for coming and participating in that. I thought it went really well. I was very pleased. I thought it was a great first meeting. A lot of, I think Mary came to the best, but she said, I think everybody checked her egos at the door and came in and really participated and sat down and had really constructive and formative dialogue around what we want our district to look like and what that strategic plan should start formulating and looking like as we move forward in the future and where we should focus our attention and resources on. So very excited about the work that the potential work that's going to come out of that and the final product that we'll put together. Kind of the next step will obviously be this Wednesday will be our next meeting, and we'll finalize what that looks like from unpacking that survey, coming up with our focus points, and then basically we'll put that together in a more concise package then for you all, then as a board to be kind of funnel down those things and pick what our final product needs to look like. And then he'll package that with some visuals and things that we can represent, use as a district to move forward. And career fairs we can post around town, we can put in our boardroom, and kind of display then what those pillars look like for our focus in our district and what the outcome of that planning was. So I thought it was a really great session. So thank you all for your participation. Thank you to our community members who took the time to come. And thank you to all of you who participated as well in helping lead those through table discussions. It's really good.
Pretty awesome. We had over 55 people in attendance by the time we counted Dr. Doty and Dr. Hart. So great opportunity to have people show up. I didn't think we'd be pulling out extra chairs, so that was great. The next item up for discussion is our graduation and promotion assignments.
So that Bryce, whatever this is participating, we just need to know.
Yeah, we just do this every year. Just look at your calendars and let me know if you want to handouts, diplomas or certificates at either one of those ceremonies. Just email me.
Sweet.
High school is Sunday, May 21st, and junior high is
The next day.
Monday, the 22nd.
Yep.
And just to clarify, you're all welcome to attend and sit in the audience, but this is for setting on stage and how we hand out the diplomas as they walk across. So if you don't sign up, that doesn't mean you can't come to graduation. So everybody's welcome. It's just for participating on stage.
So dates are Sunday, May 21st at 3 p.m. for graduation, and promotion is Monday, May 22nd at 7. We usually ask, Storm Bus, we're there 30 minutes prior, so you can get us lined up in the auditorium. So you guys can let Bryce know by the end of this week, preferences. That way then he can let Mr. Dornbos know. That's great.
Are you guys singing the fight song with the kids?
All right, our next discussion item is the minivan SUV purchase.
Yeah, Bryce, I just want to put this on your radar. I explained a little bit last week in my notes, but we just want to get it on the radar, so when the new state bid contracts come out, we can move quickly, because there's not a lot of inventory in the state and they go quick. So we need to be ready to jump on that. So we'll keep you posted as we go, but we just want to start the dialogue now, put it on the radar, that we do need to replace the Uplander minivan. It's a 2007, 180,000 miles, transmission's bad. Just not comfortable putting kids on the highway in it. Our plan for that vehicle, we'll rotate it down to a maintenance vehicle, because the current Astro minivan, which probably has, I don't know how many hundreds of thousand miles on it, but it's on its last leg. Leaks bad and needs to be scrapped. So this one will move down to the maintenance department, and we'll purchase some sort of 8-passenger van or SUV to replace that.
You want to talk about where we are in the transit purchase that we approved earlier in the school year?
Yeah, you approved it back in September, one where we had to get it, we purchased it, and then they have to outfit it for 10 passengers, because you can't have a 12 or 15 passenger in Kansas. It's going into production May 1st, and the dealership said that we should have it by the middle to end of June, so before next school year. That will be very handy. The two transits we have get used every day.
Any other conversation on our discussion items? Okay, then we'll move to our action items. The first item on our list is the National Conference FBLA. This is Miller.
I think Bryce added to the board that you guys sent out, last week, no, the week before, March 31st, 30th and 31st. We took, 13 kids to Topeka that competed, and 4 of them have qualified for nationals, which is in Atlanta, June 27th, and we would come back July 1st. We had Cassidy, she qualified in introduction to public speaking, she got second. She also would have qualified, but she has to choose, she got 4th in sales presentation as well. Jessica Filkin, she placed 1st in computer applications, and she placed 5th in business calculations. She placed 3rd with Allison Bakura in publication design, and those two also placed 5th in graphic design. And then Jessica and Bryson Palmquist, there's an event called Life Smarts. It's kind of like Scholars Bowl. Jordan actually with Allie Howard qualified 2 years ago in that, and it's a consumer personal finance type of thing. But Bryson and Jessica qualified in that. They were top 12 in the spring competition, so but they have to choose what they're gonna compete in. It's pretty expensive. It's expensive as you guys look. For us to go, registration is $195 just for them to compete. Flights, as I shouldn't have ever looked last week, because I've watched them go up by hundreds of dollars, because with Southwest, if you have a group going, you can do the group booking and you can lock those in, and you don't have to have the names, but you have to have more than 10 people going. So we couldn't do that. So I shouldn't have started looking at all, to be truthfully honest, because it just made my stomach hurt as I watched the week go on. But we have that, and then hotels have come out and stuff like that. So I guess we look for your approval to allow us to go, and then whatever generosity you throw our way is greatly appreciated. But, oh, we have bingo on this calendar for Wednesday, April 26th at 6:30. If you can make it to play bingo with us, it's always kind of a fun eventful night. Some people like to bring trolls and act crazy, makes it pretty fun.
When is that?
26th is bingo.
Dr. Doty, would you like to talk about the funding and kind of how we set that moving forward?
So just for the board's information and know too, so the way we typically handle this as a district is we set aside $2,000 to support the organization to go to the national event, and then the kids and the organization have to fundraise the rest. The tricky point for you as a board is in the past, when they've had 10 or 15 kids going, obviously the cost is much more. And we've always designated $2,000, and they can divide that up however that seems fit amongst the kids. So, and that includes the sponsors, registration, the district doesn't pay for any of those. That all gets lumped into that cost, then the $2,000 supports the total cost of building, and the rest has to be fundraised. And so just for a point of emphasis as far as how that works in support, a lot of times you get compared to other activities. So this is a national competition versus the state competition. So they do have a state competition that we send them to as well, or they go to, which is supported by the district at 100%. This is kind of subsidized by the district because it's a national event. And then they have to fundraise the rest. So whatever the cost, flights this year are going to make it very difficult. The cost of transportation. I don't know how far is that? Would that do kids going to think of the end? Is that feasible?
It'd be it's over 30.
So that's about $2,000 what we've done in the past is budgeted towards national conferences for organizations to attend.
Any other questions?
When is the last time we raised that? You know,
It used to be based on, previously they did it on per kid going, so it would be like, if it was over the 10 kids, you got to take $2,000 because so much per kid to go. Versus if you had 1 or 2 kids going, smaller organizations may have to qualify 1 or 2 kids to go. So they prorated it, so to speak, in the past. But last year or two, we just done $2,000 last day, not prorated now.
When it was based on the number of kids, it became hard to budget for because we get to this point in the year and we have no idea. And then, right.
Well, spread out on small organizations, so now we close up CCLA, FBLA, LOAC, FFA, so it gets difficult to. You might have one event where you have 20 kids qualifying, one where you have 1 kid qualifies. But really kind of flat $2,000.
Questions?
Madam President, I move that we approve the trip to Atlanta, Georgia from June 27th to July 1st for FBLA national qualifiers to attend the 2023 national conference.
Second.
Moved by Mary Kay and seconded by Billy.
You want to add $2,000? Is that one to separate or together?
Yeah, do I need to, shall I restate it?
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, that's right, I want to do it right. Madam President, I move that we approve the trip to Atlanta, Georgia from June 27th to July 1st for FBLA national qualifiers to attend the 2023 national conference with the board, with the school district contributing $2,000 towards that trip.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the trip to Atlanta, Georgia for the FBLA National Conference from June 27th to July 1st with an allowance of $2,000. Any further discussion?
I'd like to ask a question. Does that complicate things anywhere in your 2 fiscal years?
Just cover the expense, it's in there right now. And also, we don't include in that, like, if you take the vans to the airport and stuff like that, we always just cover that separate. So we don't charge the group or the organization, so any transportation that they use for districts is covered. So the district, we don't charge that out. Every little bit helps.
Any other questions or discussion? Not all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Good job. Congratulations.
Yay.
Very cool.
The next action item that we have is the ELA adoption for grades 6 through 12.
Yeah, this is Stitcher. Sort of her, I can't.
You have a document in your packet about what we chose and how old the other series is and how a person is 7 years. And the series of steps we went through to pick the programs, what we're gonna buy with them. That comes with it, so if you have any questions about any of that. We're asking for grades 6 through 8 chose a program called Amplify ELA, and grades 9 through 12 chose Into Literature by Olympia. So this is similarly to how we did with the K through 5 adoption. K through 2 had a program that was written specifically for K through 2. And 3 through 5 chose the HMA product. Now we have 6 through 8 choosing something that was only written specifically for grade 6 through 8. And then 9 through 12 is back to the HMH. And that's the totals, and there's PD included inside of those. Have any questions about any of that?
I'd just like to make a comment. When we were doing the strategic planning last Wednesday night, we had a really great dialogue at my table around curriculum, and the dialogue was how inclusive we are in the process, what that looks like, how we're always adapting and meeting kids' needs. And so it was a really, really great conversation about what that looked like. There were several people sitting at the table that didn't understand what that process looked like, which I kind of got a chuckle out of, knowing what your spreadsheet looks like and the check marks and how you move everything around. So I think that this is really fantastic. I really love that it's specific to each grade level and how we've really honed in on that. And I'm really excited. Having known what was going to be on the agenda, it was really great to say, next week we can talk about this further and some things that we have coming out. So thank you very much. And to everybody who helps do this work and look at materials and go to these PD days, it's really important for our kids, really important.
Yeah, well, the teachers, they're the ones to be commended. They're the ones who, this the work, they take the work to really to go through all of it and look really carefully. I'm a little, I'm not happy to say that we're using something that's 9 years old. That's too long, in my opinion. But the pandemic switched us back a couple of years. I really tried to stay at 7 or under 7. So they really need this. We need it updated. The ELA group really needs these materials. But thank you, and I appreciate that discussion about that.
Any other questions or comments?
Just from a budgetary standpoint, we budget for adoption every year, so we have plenty of funds in that line item in our general fund.
A cool thing, it's not quite AI, but both of the programs, the kids writing, it does the first draft feedback to the kids, the program does.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's not quite AI, but it catches any grammar, any off topic. So the kids have their first draft of feedback. Of course, the teachers can change it, but they're really excited about that. The teachers are really excited about that.
And we're using the word very 38 times in the first paragraph. Very.
There are some very cool things about what's in these programs. They're especially that 6 through 8 is really it's a different, and it's you can differentiate while the lesson is happening. You can click on the if you have your dashboard up, you can click and change you to what you see on your page on your computer. You can change the questions from year 2 to year 2. You can up and down the levels of what they see. It's all the same story, and the same kinds of questions, but you can either lower the level, or raise the level, just sitting right at your desk, right when it's happening. So there's a lot of differentiation stuff. They're really, really. So we're excited about them. Oh, you didn't vote yet.
Oh,
yeah.
You're welcome. I would entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move to approve the adoption of the new 6 through 12 ELA resources as outlined in the attachment from Kelly Gentry.
And can you add that, one page?
In the amount.
Yeah.
In the amount of.
There you go.
$94,241.05.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the new 6 through 12 ELA resources outlined in the attachment for a total of $94,241.05. Are there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Now you can.
The next action item is our KSB membership and legal assistant fund renewals.
Yep, and as in your packet, we have the invoice. For the membership fees, there are two options. The first one for $9,981.79. Option 2 adds the season pass, and as we kind of discussed before, I would recommend option 1. And then if we start utilizing the KSAB seminars and trainings more and more where we pass, where we would maximize by being a member of the season pass, we'll add it next year. But as it is right now, we would be better off just paying for the individual sessions that board members would like to attend when they attend at the full cost instead of using the discounted season pass. So go with option 1. And the legal assistance fund for us this year is $2,750, which is well worth it. That's the bank of attorneys that we can call and get policy advice or legal advice in different situations by being part of this membership fund.
Any questions? If not, if you all have an opportunity to look through.
Just trying to figure out how to word it.
Yeah.
Madam
Okay.
President, I move that we renew the district's KASB membership and the district's contract with KASB's Legal Assistance Fund using option 1, which is just the membership renewal without the season pass for a total of $9,981.79 for the membership renewal and $2,750 for the legal assistance fund.
Second. Okay. It's moved and seconded that we approve option 1, the membership renewal for KSB for $9,981.79. And the KSB Legal Assistance Fund for $2,750 for the 2023-2024 school year. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next action item we have is the multi-function copier lease bids.
So our contract is up with Century for this lease cycle of our copy machines throughout the district. So we did put it out the bid. We received 2 vendors, bids from 2 different vendors, one being Document 360 Solutions out of Wichita, I believe, and then Century. But again, Century won the bid. They did include 2 options, one with Savin machines, which is what we currently have, and then second option was switching over to Kerosene machines. Corey recommending the Kerosene machines, which would be in your packet, the lowest bid from Century out of the 2, and it's cheaper by a little over $20,000 over the other vendor. That would be for another 5-year lease agreement. I believe this page. The whole RFP is in there.
Page 85, is that where we are?
And I think it starts on 70 for the RFP, and then you can go through and you can see on page, all the criteria is listed out on your page. It's like 76, 77, and then this Century start on page 79. You can see the total at the bottom of the page. 85 is $29,140.56 annually for a 5-year total of $145,702.80. This also includes a service contract on machines we own. Several years ago, we needed to add to our copier fleet, some of the smaller units for help offices and some other offices around the buildings. So we purchased those, it was more cost effective to purchase those smaller units. But we did have them add into this, the toner and maintenance agreements, so toner will be cycled through for those machines on this contract, as well as if they break down, the service agreements are included in that with machines. And it breaks it down by images, number of images used in color and black and white, and that's how they come to the tables. This all explained there on page 85, the numbers kind of breaks apart. So we will have, this will replace every machine in our district for next year. We get rid of all the Saddle machines, we'll have new kerosene machines.
Does the motion need to include the 5-year combined total?
Any other questions for Dr. Doty?
Yeah, see if I wrote this down right. Madam President, I move that we approve the Sarah proposal from Century for a multi-function copier lease for the 5-year combined contract total of $145,702.80.
Seconded by Lee. Been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Century Business Technologies for the multi-function copier lease concerning the Coursera machines, 5-year total of $145,702.80. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Maybe in 5 years, one of us will be able to say that name. A brand name.
Okay, next up is the epoxy flooring installation.
So one of the things we're trying to do is slowly replace all of our VCT, which is the vinyl squares and hallways, because those require maintenance, the waxing and stripping every year, and so, and they're not as attractive and durable as epoxy flooring. So we've been trying to slowly replace those with epoxy flooring, and then as well as in classrooms, that instead of carpet, if they want, going with epoxy because it's more durable, and of course, if they want carpet, we put carpet back in there, but the epoxy is just kind of the new VCT. It's more durable, it looks better, it's easier, it's maintenance free, they don't have to wax and strip it. So we've been moving that direction, which this is an epoxy flooring here. That's what this is. In the hallways and around the school as well, except for the travertine that's out here, the older looking stone is travertine, which is not epoxy, but that's on the list. So this bid, we got 2 different bids, 2 different vendors, ECS, which did the original hallways out here, and so we'll work over at the high school. And then from Epoxy Brothers, which is a local company who did the rest of the work that's epoxy in this district. So they've done everything for the last several years. So they do quality work. They did this room here, and they were by far the lowest bid. In fact, their total bid was cheaper than just the high school bid from the other company. So this is the combined list of all the projects that we want to complete this summer. So if you look through on page, starting on page, 111 is the RFP, and if you skip to 116, that's the beginning estimates from each vendor. The first one is Epoxy Brothers. First one is for Prairie Heights. That's replacing the the cafeteria floors and also the code base, which is important to note because it is an additional cost. But if you look on this wall here, you'll notice we don't have the rubber code base like a room does. This is the epoxy code base as well. So with cleaning, it makes it a lot easier because you don't get water penetration underneath into the walls, especially in the cafeteria area where there's a lot of cleaning that happens every day and mopping. So this is for code base in the kitchen and then epoxy flooring in the cafeteria and the kitchen. Well, so that total bid comes to $13,346. And then on page 117 is for Council Grove High School, and this includes the men's restroom off of the auditorium. If we had massive leaking in there, that's where the expansion joint where the add-on building was. So as soon as they get that leak fixed, we have expansion and contraction due to heat and thermal dynamics, and it leaks again. So they're on top of that, but that floor has been destroyed because of the leaking, so we'll replace that with epoxy flooring. Room 302, which is the old concession stand out in the old lobby of the old gym. We can turn that into usable space. It also includes the next one down the gym lobby, is that old lobby in the gym. So we replace that old tile that is in there now with epoxy flooring. And then the elevator entry, which is this little pad breezeway that goes in front of the elevator. So it's a pretty small area. That's why it's a pretty inexpensive cost. Then the old hallway, which is all the brown tile, as you enter into the 1918 building, had left. As soon as the carpet ends, the brown tile that goes down to the end of that hallway and branches to the gym entrance, where you can go right, and that heads to the auditorium or down around to the BOAG and math classrooms. That's white tile that goes that way. So this would just be the brown tile that goes down the hallway, the main hallway, and goes left to the gym entrance. You can see the bid on that. And then the next one down is the new hallway. That's the white tile if you go right. That would be the hallway that goes right, which is the new part of one of the additions down the road that used to be, that's not part of the original building on the auditorium side there, when they added those hallways and the classrooms on that side. So that total bid comes to $46,467, and that includes removal turnkey work. So they come in, remove the old flooring, prep the base, and then add the new flooring. Includes dump fees as well. Then on page 118, this is for the elementary school here, Council Grove, just the different rooms, room 125 and 169, and then thought we were doing the hallways too. This must be an old one. This has the high school auditorium on it. Did this one get thrown in there by mistake? Page 118, it says Council Grove Elementary School to stop it. It has high school auditorium on it. That was work we did last summer.
That's last year's.
Yeah.
That is-
So that must be an old one. That's all right. Do we have the other one? Because they'll need that in here to approve it.
Was it in the email that you sent to me?
And that has an old date, now that I see it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
it's got the elementary school heading, but it's
Yeah.
got the high school work on it.
yeah.
So why is you looking for that?
To us, didn't it?
Yeah, it went in an email. I think you
But
shared
it's
an
the
email.
same, the email attachments today, that last one is.
Well, one of
the
them
same
has it
old
in the
one.
hallway because it's replacing the travertine, the epoxy on the travertines. I'm not quite seeing it because he's got a price in there for the blue stripe lines on it.
This is what I pulled out of that envelope. Might open it and look at it. I just stand there.
Okay, hold on, give me a second here,
It's the
'cause I know I've
same
seen
in
it.
the- Yeah, it's the same in the email. That last one is, they must have attached the wrong. Yeah, they put the 2020.
Well, we have the quote for that because I've seen it, I've seen the blue lines, because when Jay, I printed it off and Jay and I walked through his building. It has it, I hear, let me try, I know we got that one. I don't know how that got transposed out of there, sorry. Here it is, let me share my screen. So this is the email from Mike that came with all of them in there.
This is the stuff, we opened it today afternoon, and this is straight out of the envelope they sent us.
Okay. All right, so this is the bid for here. So this would be included, this is Council Grove Elementary School. This would have the hallways that are left, the travertine hallways out there. And the entry here, so that when we did the new entrance to this building, we only went up. To that dividing point there, and this would include this out here as well. And this bid comes to $21,929.
$929.
Probably what we need to do. Just approve the bids, remove the elementary one, since those came in bids, remove the one that's in your packet now, approve the rest. And we'll get this on a separate agenda to be approved, since this wasn't included in the original bid. So.
Correct.
Yeah, so just remove in your packet now, remove that last elementary quote, approve the rest of it, and then we'll bring this one back separate to be approved.
Will we need a special meeting for that, or is that one of those we can sign a document
Yeah.
later?
We can, since it was in the original bid scope, we can, you can just put it on the May agenda, we could just have them, having built that into the scheduling, because it's not new, so we're not bidding out a new
Right.
project. It's in the original bid scope.
So they can still continue with their plan and everybody else's plan.
Right.
Without us
We can still
officially
keep
doing it till May.
scheduling, yeah. And if that changes, I'll let you know. I would presume that's how easiest way to handle it.
There needs to be an amount.
Yeah, for those two. Yep.
I didn't run.
That's okay.
I'm gonna try it.
The 13,000.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proposal from Proxy Brothers LLC to install epoxy flooring in the district buildings, Prairie Heights Elementary School for $13,346, and the junior high school building in the amount of $46,467, and remove the elementary school at this time.
Did you get Prairie Heights kitchen?
Yep.
And the high school?
Yep,
I think so.
you did.
Perfect.
There's second? Second, right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bids from Epoxy Brothers LLC for Prairie Heights Elementary School in the amount of $13,346, and the Council Grove Junior Senior High School in the amount of $46,467,000. We will be waiting on the correct information from Council Grove Elementary School. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is another bid, the tilting skillet. I don't know if anybody watched the video, but it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so something to clarify, because I know this is an issue with inspections. We will not be frying on that. Because if we fry, we have to have a halon system set up, which is some other parameters in place, which we have that over there, but we don't inspect it and all that. We don't do any frying. So frying takes us into a different category of food prep or kitchen. So what she'll use this skillet for is some things that she explained. It's just a much more practical tool than what she has now to prepare large, soups and game cooked pancakes in it and stuff like that. So it's just a practical tool that'll make life much easier for them over there. It's like saver, but we will not be frying. Or whatever you call that, that problem. It's stuff in hot oil. But you fried it. Good job.
We only get the one bid.
Yeah, we only received it.
How is the functioning of the current situation? How's the functioning of the current situation, or would this be a complete addition? This isn't a replacement or something, this is
No,
in
it's
addition.
just one replacement, need to be an addition, yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched the video, but it's actually like one person, you can set the pan up there and turn this crank and it can fill a pan without any spillage. So if they do gravy, or if they do soups, stews, chili, those kind of things, one person operation where you don't have to worry about getting burnt and can pan out, being ready to go to the other buildings.
Pretty soon, peaceful.
absolutely,
Yeah, especially if it's safe. Yeah.
yeah. Yes, yes, for long term.
What was the total amount? I closed my-
$19,995 from Index Restaurant Supply.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proposal from Index Restaurant Supply for a tilting skillet in the amount of $19,995.
And I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Index Restaurant Supply for the tilting skillet in the amount of $19,995. Are there any other questions or discussion?
See quite a few like optional add-ons, we don't need any of those. Below the road,
You might, that's a good question.
part of the,
You might just add that any additional add-ons she wants to purchase on top of that, because I'm sure she'll want some. I just didn't make the request in this package. Good catch. Bill.
Would like me to rescind it and add that line in it.
Yeah.
Let me
Because
go
it
back to
looks
the,
like total combined would be less than $3,000 if we did the options. Yeah,
Just like it up to amount.
yeah, 25,000.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proposal from Index Restaurant Supply for a tilting skillet in the current bid amount of $19,995 up to $25,000 should the district see that you need accessories.
I'm going to second that. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Index Restaurant Supply in the amount of $19,995, including the optional items that are listed on the bid, not to exceed $25,000. Any further comments, questions, or discussion?
Thank you, Billy, for noticing that.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, as noted, when we started the meeting, at this time, we will have an executive session for personnel. There will be some action taken when we return. So, those of you who wish to leave can do so at this time.
He did invite other.
Right.
How long do you think you need?
For what? The executive session, Jamie, Victor, and Keith.
President, I move we go into executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel, the non-elected personnel exception under COMA. And the open meeting will resume in this room in 10 minutes. We would like to include the board, Dr. Doty, Heather Honus, and Kelsey Grimmer for this executive session.
Second that. Been moved and seconded that we go into an executive session for personnel to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exemption under COMA for 10 minutes with the board, Dr. Doty, Heather Honus, and Kelsey Brimmer. Yeah, for 10 minutes. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our time will not start until Bryce gets all these people in the waiting room and we get Bryce.
Madam President, I move we go into executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected personnel exception under COMA. And the open meeting will resume in this room in 5 minutes. We would like the board, Mr. Doty, Heather Honus, and Kelsey Brimmer to stay in the executive session, please.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we go in an executive session to discuss an individual employee's performance pursuant to non-elected exemption under coma for 5 minutes with the board, Dr. Doty, Heather Honus, and Kelsey Brimmer. Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I will start as soon as we. Our next action item is notice of a non-renewal resolution. I'll read the resolution. Resolution in regard to non-renewal of teacher's contract. Whereas Warren Grammer was initially employed by Unified School District number 417, Morris County, Kansas, on the 9th day of August 2021 as a teacher, and whereas Warren Grammer is currently employed as a teacher in this school district, and whereas the Board of Education of Unified School District number 417, Morris County, Kansas, intends that the contract of Warren Grammer should not be renewed for the reasons set forth below, and that Warren Grammer should be given written notice on or before May 19th, 2023, of the Board of Education's intent not to renew the contract for the 2023-2024 school year. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Unified School District number 417, Morris County, Kansas, Section 1, that it is hereby declared to be the intent of the Board of Education of Unified School District number 417, Morris County, Kansas, to non-renew the employment contract of Warren Grammer as a teacher in the school district for the 2023-2024 school year. Section 2, that the clerk of the Board of Education is hereby authorized and directed to give written notice to Warren Grammer of the board's intent to non-renew their teaching contract for the 2023-2024 school year, and the written notice be delivered to Warren Grammer on or before May 19th, 2023. Section 3, that the notice contain the following reason for the board's intent to non-renew the contract for reasons stated in executive session, adopted by the Board of Education on this day, the 10th of April, 2023. At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval of the proposed resolution.
Madam President, I move that we approve the proposed resolution in regard to non-renewal of a teacher's contract.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded for approval of the proposed resolution in regard to non-renewal of teacher's contract. Any further discussion?
Mrs. Thomas, was there anything wrong with that date?
The day I think it's fine, does it matter if it's counselor instead of teacher? In the wording?
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
Right. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next items on the agenda, a reminder that April 12th is our stat plan part 2. 5 o'clock, 5:15 in the commons area again for the meal. We'll start at 5:30 again, going till 8:30. Our next regular Board of Ed meeting is scheduled for May 8th at 6 p.m. And then just a reminder to board members to send your graduation and promotion assignment requests to Bryce by the end of this week. Is there any further business to discuss? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Madam President, I move that we adjourn this meeting.
A second. All right, all in favor, please raise your right hand. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, you just,
So
you made a face.
have to stay
I
and
know.
sign that?
I thought,
Well, that's
did we say that?